tHeSe Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the tHeSe Report.
Hello and welcome to the tHeSe Report, now with added audio effects.
Thanks for that, Lachlan.
I'm Charles and this is Dom.
And I sound like I'm in space. Yes. Wow. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of audio.
We'll find out later on why Lachlan is being so diligent today.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Lachlan, for that. Thank you to you, too, for choosing this podcast. There are many out there, and our listening numbers are up. People are making good decisions.
And they're listening to the podcast.
Yeah. I don't know if Hamish and Andy stopped being funny or something. What's that?
Don't mention our chief competitor.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, Dom.
Yeah.
There is a law that's about to be passed in New South Wales, thanks to the Labor government.
Minns, the new premier.
Yeah, the Minns, he's going to have a minority government.
Oh my God. Why are our numbers up?
Anyway, so he's going to ban mobile phones from schools.
Yeah, this is something that they've been going on about for ages, this idea that it's just terrible for school kids to have mobile phones.
I have a theory, because I used to do message testing polling. Did you used to do that as well?
No, a lot of people from the tHeSe did, though. We used to work for
CityPoll, which tested the lines that politicians would say about 6 weeks before they said them, right? And you'd find out whether something was good, and then the politician would say them if it was sort of a thing. And I reckon my theory is that they just did this phone polling of, phones should be banned in schools. The kids these days, they're just on their phones all the time. Just tested incredibly highly, so it became official Labor Party. In fact, the key plank of the New South Wales Labor Party's policy, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Now that they're accidentally in government, they now have to work out how to ban mobile phones in schools because, like, I don't know, they banned drugs in schools. That didn't seem to have any effect. Like, certainly not at the schools that my kids go to. You know, they banned vapes in schools. Well, every fucking teenager vapes at the moment.
But there's no rule, Charles. There's no rule that says that just because you've promised something before an election, you've got to do it, and particularly not straight away. Don't they just launch a study?
They should do a pilot scheme. Just 500 mobile phones.
With 500 kids, the kids of the Labor Party politicians and all the Labor workers, they can be the ones to test it out and see how it goes. Because as with the pokies, 90,000 pokies, they're only testing 500. Just get a few kids. See how the Minns has 3 sons. Yeah. See how they go without mobile phones.
Dominic Perrottet has 500 sons.
Actually, you can probably just do the whole thing.
Do it on the Perrottet family.
But why is it that that one you can't possibly put in without a trial?
No.
But the notion of kids not having phones at all, let's just do it.
No, but this is the thing. What they've decided is actually probably the easiest way to do it is to not take the phones from the kids. It's to put in mobile jamming devices into each school so that mobile phones do not work at school.
Hang on a sec. Do we have mobile jamming technology?
I have a friend who's got one. They are completely illegal. They are illegal.
In schools, apparently.
Well, they would have to make them legal in schools.
How are we not using that in concerts? I want, not just jamming the mobile signals, but actually just rendering them inoperable.
Well, I think they do that in New York. They have little mini jammers on Broadway. But no, they're completely illegal in Australia, partly because, say, somebody is dying of a heart attack or, a stroke or something that requires an emergency reaction. You pull out your mobile phone, it's like, sorry, we didn't want anyone taking a phone call during this La Traviata. Sorry, you'll just have to die.
Charles.
Actually, isn't it better to just trust that adults will be sensible, they'll put their phone on silence, and that we teach the kids of tomorrow that actually having a mobile phone comes with the responsibility of using it properly.
But Charles,
and training people up for the future.
But kids these days, Charles.
Kids these days.
Kids these days. Yes. It's a very powerful argument. I think if the goal is to just deny kids that bit of happiness.
Yes.
And just get them to pay attention in class.
Yes.
And not be little shits.
Yes.
That's a much more valuable goal than calling an ambulance. If a few people have to die and not get ambulances just so that the kids can focus in class, their dying breath will be a happy one if they know that their sacrifice has enabled kids these days. It's really fun ranting, isn't it? Kids these days to pay attention in class like we used to do, Charles, by passing notes.
Yeah, that's right.
And by drawing. I used to draw. I wouldn't have gotten through school without being able to draw in my books.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Lessons were very boring, if I remember.
Yeah.
A lot of them were anyway.
But see, I've got a slightly different take on this whole thing because, like, I hate as much as anyone seeing your kids just face down in the screens the whole time. But that said, you also then go, they get so much information out of their screens as well. Like my eldest son is obsessed with reptiles and snakes at the moment. And so every time he looks down at the screen, you go, what are you doing? Oh, I'm reading Wikipedia about the herpetology of inland taipans.
But Charles, if he put his phone down, he could be playing with an actual taipan. Why is he not playing with an actual taipan? That's what he should be doing. Pick one up. Charles' son.
I just reckon it's just sort of, I don't know, I just feel like it's so wanting to go back to a different era that doesn't.
And Charles, if you have a terrible accident during the course of recording the podcast, what I will do, I'll just release a carrier pigeon to your children and hope that at some point, so there's no need to rush.
Yes.
Just I'll tie a little note that has died to the leg of the pigeon, and eventually they'll find out the old-fashioned way.
But what about school shootings? Like, what happens, if your kids are involved in a school shooting and they can't communicate their last words with you?
It's very simple. What you do is you make a paper plate and you write "Daddy, I love you" on the paper. You probably won't get through it, but the intention will be. But this is the whole thing: is that if any emergency requires a mobile phone these days, who was it that actually publishes the app that warns you if there's a bushfire coming your way? I believe that's also the New South Wales government, and this app uses mobile phones. Yeah. That's also how the police let you know if there's missing people in the area. They tend to blast all mobile phones. If there's anything happening, they can now, if there's an emergency, they send a text message to a particular area.
But how urgent are most of those things? Not really. So the last time, this is true, last time a few weeks ago actually, my son's school got completely locked down because there was a knife wielding.
That's right.
Yeah, remember that? And he sent me, Hartley sent me a text message. Which
I remember.
Said, just remember, I don't love you, Dad.
I mean,
I never did.
How's your kid going to get the opportunity for snark without that?
I know. Like, if there's a bushfire coming, they can just use the landline to phone the school, and then the school can deal with it, can't they? Like, you don't need to send it to every student.
But it just goes to show. I like that for some of the time, the New South Wales government views it as an essential emergency tool.
Very hypocritical.
Whereas for kids...
No.
I think kids need to learn to do these things longhand. And I want them to use fountain pens, Charles. I really dislike biros. I think they've really devalued the craft of writing. And inkwells.
Yes.
Why can't kids go back to inkwells and quills?
No, I think...
It was a better time.
Before that, hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics?
Yes.
They should be given stone tablets and a chisel.
And a chisel.
And just carve out the message very... Look at the Romans. All those tablets are still here today.
Yes.
That's the sort of tablets our kids should have in school. Forget your iPads. Marble tablets to carve cuneiform into. And I think the first thing that the children in New South Wales will carve into their stone tablets is fuck you, Chris Innes, for taking my phone away.
The Chaser Report. News a few days after it happens.
But you're right in that this is a big question of do we actually live in the modern world or not, or do we try and switch it off?
And I think we've come up with the conclusion, which is back to cuneiform hieroglyphics.
As long as they do it in Parliament first, as long as they block if they can get through a day in that place without functioning mobile phones, if they can actually do it for 24 hours, then they can maybe tell the kids that they shouldn't have phones.
Okay, done.
Now, Lachlan, What's Lachlan been up to?
Lachlan, our producer, has just dropped into the studio. Hello, Lachlan.
Oh, so we're calling this a studio now? We're in Charles's basement.
I call it my Fritzl-style basement. Actually, when we first moved in to my house, you know how kids just make friends with other kids at that age very quickly? So there were literally about half a dozen kids all playing in the basement, right? And then this parent drops by, the back door and goes, "Hey, have you seen my kids? Like they're sort of 3 to 5 years old. They're just running around the complex." And I said, "Oh yeah, they're in my Fritzl-style basement." I was like, okay. And then I realised actually not everyone has the same sense of humour as I do. Anyway,
that concludes this episode of Basement Review.
Yeah, that's right.
Back to what we were talking about, Charles. Why am I here?
The reason you're here is because you came into the office earlier today.
I did.
You bounded in and you went, "Oh, I've just been writing sketches and broadcasting them on radio." And you played me a sketch that you did in the wake of Labor winning the New South Wales election and therefore having a clean sweep of Labor states all across the mainland states of Australia. Do you want to? Should we play it for them?
Please enjoy amateur sketch writing.
No, professional sketch writing. You're our producer. You've got to back yourself.
Okay. Please enjoy a cute little sketch.
Yeah, the criticism will come after we've played it.
Seeing red everywhere you look?
We don't want Labor.
Want somewhere you can feel blue?
Now we've got Labor. Thanks, Liberals.
Then come to Tasmania, the last reminder of the Australia you loved.
Wow, don't forget about Tasmania, little Tasmania.
Where the only upset snowflakes you'll find are on top of Cradle Mountain.
Forget it, guys. You're a disaster.
A place where no one can accuse you of nepotism, because here, everything's kept in the family. Somewhere you can lie under the stars and just watch the sky after dark.
Woke has destroyed the Liberal Party. Only Peter Dutton can save it.
Visit an old Australia. A liberal Australia. Visit Tasmania.
Mainland Australia, it's all Labor now, so Labor, let's see how socialism works. Let's see Australia.
Unless you're a socialist.
Now, Charles, can I just say, it's such a pleasure to have you on as a comedian who I've looked up to and hired me on absolutely no credit and just sort of raised me up and built me into who I am today. And it's an honour to be able to sit next to you as a fellow professional sketch writer and hear you say some nice words. So please, what did you think?
No, I thought it was good.
I was really expecting you to raise and drop.
No. It's a shit sandwich, Lachlan. Like you say a general word of positivity and then you give your honest opinion, right? So I thought it was good. I think it was very confusing, right? Like it was literally like 3/4 of the way. And look, listeners, Lachlan and I love each other. Like
we do.
It's not like this is.
I actually asked Charles to sign a copy of his book the other day.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a very equal relationship. But no. But the thing is that I didn't quite understand that they were all grabs from unhinged Sky News commentators until about 3/4 of the way through the sketch. And maybe that's just me being dumb, right? But it feels to me like that's a huge part of the premise of this whole thing. And then what I don't quite understand is it that Sky News has endorsed Tasmania? Like, is it an ad saying...
Yeah. So the preface for this, because this is going out onto the live radio, I get called the day before and they're like, "Hey, you're going to be doing this as your talk segment. It's about we're going to talk about how Sky News covered the election." And so they get on and we have this 2-minute chat about that. And then they go, "Oh, Lachlan, what have you got?" And I play this little sketch where it's prefaced as a brand new ad from Discover Tasmania partnered with Rowan Dean.
With Rowan Dean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. We probably should have done that before we heard the sketch.
No, this is good. This is fresh ears. Yeah, this is how we do it.
Yes, but I think it had production values. It had clips of actuality. It had music bed and things like that. Why don't you fucking do that for our fucking podcast sometime? Well,
I'll do it in this episode of the Chaser Report.
Oh, okay.
I guarantee if people continue to listen to this episode of the Chaser Report, they'll hear something gangbusters.
Well, that is great. I know that we said we're in the basement.
Sorry.
There is a bottomless pit just next to you. You see that pit? You know what that is? It's my Fritzl-style bottomless pit. I am going to now have to chuck you off the edge into that bottomless pit.
Just stand here?
Yeah, so just stand there.
I think you've got to pull that old rustic style lever.
Yeah, here we go.
Charles.
I'll just put...
Charles! Hello? Is that something groaning, Charles? Charles, what are you keeping down here?
Yeah, sorry, that's not water, that's kerosene. Hold on, I'll just light this match.
Okay, great, I'd love to see.
Okay. Can you see a bit better now? Dom, can we get another producer? How much do they cost?
Not much.
Our gear is from Rode. We're part of the Iconoclast Network. Catch you tomorrow.